Welcome to Mr. Bresciani's math class. Today we're going to look at Unit 10, which is modeling and solving one-step equations. Now the student outcome for today's lesson is first, I can model problems with linear equations. And the second is I can solve problems with linear equations. So let's take a look at our first question. Okay, so there's actually two methods to solving these questions. The first one is method 1, which is solving by inspection. So when we look at our question here, we've got 3x equals negative 12. So step 1 is just to ask yourself what number multiplied by 3 will give me negative 12. Now, obviously this doesn't mean that you always multiply it by 3 in every question, but you always figure out what number multiplied by your number here will give you your answer. So what could x be that it's multiplying by 3 to give me negative 12. So when we look at that, we could try a couple. So we've got 3, oops, I need to get my pen out here. We've got 3 multiplied by what is going to give us negative 12? Well, if we do some pretty good searching, we could say, okay, I know that 3 times negative 4 is going to give me 12, and a positive times a negative is going to be a negative. So our answer would be negative 12. We could check our work here by looking at 3, even we did it above. 3 by negative 4 equals negative 12. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Negative 12 equals negative 12. So we've got our answer. So for these ones, all you're doing is just kind of doing some guess and checking sense. So you're solving by inspection. What number times this will give me this is all you're doing. So that's method 1. Let's try method 2. Method 2 says multiplying and dividing by the opposite operation. So step 1 in this method says isolate the variable through opposite operation. So if we've got negative or 3x equals negative 12, well, right now we have 3 is multiplying by x. So we've got to do the opposite of that. So if in here we've got 3 times x equals negative 12, well, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So we're going to divide by 3. Now we've got step 1 completed. Now we look at step 2, and it says what you do to one side, you do to the other. So if on this side we're dividing by 3, oops, my bad. Let's try that again. We're dividing by 3. That means on this side we've also got to divide by 3, because what we do to one side here, we need to do to the other. Now we set up step 2 and we're done. Step 3 just says do the work. So what that means is we've got 3x divided by 3 equals negative 12 divided by 3. Well, over here, 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we can actually just cross it out because we've got the same thing on top and the bottom. That'll leave us with just x equals, and now the variable is completely isolated. Now we got to figure out what is negative 12 divided by 3. Well, we know that 12 divided by 3 is 4, and because here we've got a negative, and because there's no sign, that means this is positive. A negative divided by a positive is going to be a negative because they're different signs. So our answer is negative 4. We could just check our answer again, like before. 3 times negative 4 equals negative 12. Negative 12 equals negative 12. We've got our answer. So either one will work for this method. Now let's take a look at our next question. So for our next question, we're going to try out the following. Negative 84 equals 12x. So you can pause it right now, give it a shot, and then hit play when you're ready to watch. Okay, so either method works, but let's try method 1 for this. Let's do our solving by inspection for this method. So we know we got negative 84. Well, what we're doing now is we're taking to ourselves 12 times what number is going to give us 84? Well, that might take some time. That's why you got to pick and choose which method will work better. But if I keep multiplying and saying, okay, 12 times 10 will give me 120. That's too big. 12 times 5 will give me 60. That's a little too small. 12 times 7. Oh, that'll give me negative 7. Perfect. So negative 84, we can test this out, equals 12 times negative 7. Negative 84 equals negative 84. Now, that would work here, but again, because it's a bit of a bigger number, and if this doesn't work well for you, you might want to try the other method, which would be just like this. We've got our negative 84 again, equals 12x. Well, if we use the second method, we need to start with the opposite operation. So with here, 12 is multiplying by x, so we'll just do the opposite. We're going to divide by 12. And what we do to one side, we need to do to the other. So we're just going to divide by 12 on this side. When we look at it, 12 divided by 12 gives us just x. And negative 84 divided by 12, well, that'll give us 7. And the negative divided by a positive is a negative. So then we got negative 7 equals x, because that x is on its own. We've got our answer. We can double check it. Negative 84 equals 12 times negative 7. Negative 84 equals negative 84. We've got the right answer because it balances out. Let's try the next one. Okay, so for this one, we're going to look at 5n equals negative 25. So again, you can pause it here if you like, and then hit play when you're ready to check out the solution. Okay, so again, I'm going to start this one with method 2. So method 2 states our first step has to be isolating our variable through the opposite operation. Well, because 5 is multiplying by our variable, which is n this time, we're going to divide. So we're going to divide by, oops, I'm still on the other question for some reason. We're going to divide by 5. And what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we're going to divide this side by 5 as well. Now we're actually going to do the work. And when we look at it, 5 divided by 5 just gives us 1. So we can put n there because now it's on its own. And negative 25 divided by 5, well, we know that's 5. And a negative divided by a positive, different signs, means we're going to get a negative. So our answer is negative 5. Now we're going to check our work. 5 times negative 5 equals negative 25. Negative 25 equals negative 25. So there's your method 2. And the same thing we said for method 1. All you would have to do differently is just say to yourself, 5 times what number will give me negative 25? So I mean, it's pretty easy. You're just looking at it and saying, okay, to be multiplied, divide it right there, we're done. But that's it for this, okay? You can pick which method will work best for you, as always. But one tip, this method here with the opposite operation might come in handy when it gets to bigger numbers, because you have to try to really do a lot of guessing and checking for the higher numbers. Whereas if you just did this, it's a lot easier just through the opposite operation. But again, you pick what's best for you, and then check out below for the assignment.